2 ways on how to remain poor. Now, I phrase it this way because this teaching was inspired by Charlie Munger's rule of inversion. It states, the mind fares better in finding negativity, discovering problems, identifying why all of this would never work, why I would never be successful. So it's easier for you to find problems, then invert them as opposed to solution. If I said to you, give me 5 ways to make money, you would struggle. Conversely, give me 5 ways to spend. Exactly. So it's in the spending you can invert that principle, see how to partake in the value exchange or the value chain of those process, of those outlets rather. So how to remain poor? The first is take advice from people who have no money. I do not care how logically sound your advice is. If you do not have the outcome, then you're unable to give advice, because your result in any sphere is what gives you authority to address matters. Your mind leads to outcome. Your belief leads to your reality. So if that belief gave you this reality, then I'm not particularly interested. It's very simple. Unfortunately, humans make decisions emotionally. They make decisions. Oh, my parents said, my dad said. Guess what? Your dad has no fucking money. I told my dad one time, I said, I'm going to build a house. And he laughed at me, because to him, the only way to generate capital is to go to the US, work as hard as possible, bring the hard currency to Nigeria, then you establish. Or you get a job. Now, this is a very intelligent individual. I'm not trying to say my father is dumb or paint him in a negative light. No, if you see him, respect him. He's a very entrepreneurial-minded mind. Unfortunately, he's limited in this sphere. He's not developed enough to give the advice relative to that institution. Now, the point I'm trying to highlight, based on the respect I have for him, which is evident based on how highly I've spoken of him, converting that respect to dogma, which is the unconditional belief in whatever he says, I myself would be limited. So before you take any advice, make sure the person dispensing has the outcome to do that. So that's the first. The second is read books and do nothing. This is a very common one. Even I was guilty of this. Years ago, I would read books to sound intelligent. I would memorize 2, 3 vocabularies, come up to my friends, 5, 6, 7 of them, whom I know more than. And when I speak, oh, my friend, you are good, you are good, you are good. And I walk as a humble man. God has helped us. I don't do much. It's just everybody's learning. And I kept going down while they are rising as a consequence of the various fraudulent attempts they've made. So reading books and doing nothing would frustrate your existence. You will be a poor, wise man. In fact, we cannot explore the subject of wisdom without touching the Bible. I read a very disturbing scripture years ago. There was someone in the Bible depicted as a poor, wise man, whom by his wisdom saved the whole nation from foreign attack. And guess what happened when they won? Nothing was done with him. Nothing was done to him. Now you will think, after such marvelous display of wisdom, he should be lifted, or something good should be bestowed upon the peasants who would help expel foreign invaders. Guess what happened? Exactly. The moral of the story, the wisdom of a poor man is despised. So, for as long as you begin to read books and do nothing and sound intelligent, poverty awaits you. Nothing and nobody respects the poor. I learned it the hard way. Take it from an older brother. You don't need to experience the same thing as me. And this is the problem with people on the internet. Instead of taking advice, they make that same mistake. You are the one who's twice as unwise because I failed for you. It's akin to watching a man fall into a ditch, struggle 30 years of his life in an attempt to live, and making that same mistake, all because of a personal story, all because of ignorance. You're fucking stupid. You know it as well as I do. So, my friends, these 2 points, I believe your life has been improved immensely. As always, my friends, a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.